With that, I'll make a motion to approve the April 8th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that was the easy one. Announcements. The Select Board will meet on the following dates at 5 p.m. Monday, May 13th, Tuesday, May 28th. Citizens wishing to be listed on the Select Board's agenda should notify Town Hall before noon, the Thursday before the scheduled meeting. All meetings will be held upstairs at Town Hall and by Zoom. Zoom information can be found on the town's website, plymouthnh.gov. Chairman's comments. Shout out to fire and police and EMS, everybody who covered the big fire on Main Street over the weekend. I wandered down and took a look at it while it was sort of cooking. Yeah, they did all things considered, I think they did an amazing job containing it as much as they did. And according to the sign, it sounds like the Flying Monkey Theater will be back open end of the week.
Yep.
Certainly the two buildings next to it are
Not going to be.
probably not going to be open, yeah. But all things considered, great work by the departments and the many surrounding towns that came here to help out. At one point, I don't know the count, 8, something like that?
I don't know, when I came down at like 11 o'clock that night, just to...
Yeah, that was about the time I was there too. Probably just missed you.
I was standing up at the library.
Oh, at the library, yeah. I was standing on the, that hill where the...
Well, we came down so far, but we didn't come down too far.
Yeah, it was quite a thing. And thanks to Anne for letting me know that it was happening. Anyway, big shout out to all our emergency services. We don't have a town manager's report this week because Scott is...
But I do have a couple things if I could sneak in there.
You want to sneak in early?
If you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we have a new police officer. Her name is Madeline Hubble. Usually the board does not sign it. However, she started work today. And with Scott out, we want to make sure that we get her appointed. Madeline is a PSU graduate, criminal justice degree. She'll be in the police academy in June, and she lives in Plymouth.
How do you spell her last name?
Hubbell. First name Madeline.
So we...
Just sign it. Yep.
Just sign it.
And you had one resigned, huh?
Yeah, that's the next
We've had
order
a
of
few.
business.
So the next item, I know that Neil is probably going to bring this up under his attendance of the planning board meeting. However, I wanted to just jump in before Neil brought that up, that Mr. Blackie from BICO is requesting an exception from the original planning board development requirements for sidewalks on Crescent and Wildflower Lane. In order, the planning board is asking for, first of all, he wants to take the sidewalks out and not expand them to 5 feet wide. Right now, there's a few sidewalks that are in, but they're only 4 feet wide. And they don't, our tractor, I guess, is 5 feet wide, so he doesn't want to do it anymore. But planning board really doesn't want to make that decision without talking to or listening to the board.
Which
of
road?
Selectmen.
Which road is this? I just wanted to look at it on the map.
This is Crescent Street and Wildflower Lane. Crescent Street is one of the roads that has been requested that the town take it over. Either way, I would like if the board would please review before the next meeting on the 13th the memo that went out to members of the planning board from Joseph Perez, along with the minutes and the tape of that meeting so that you can consider making a decision. I'll put that right on the agenda, if you don't mind, on the 13th. Their next meeting is the 16th, so that gives us plenty of time for the board to do some preliminary work on that. So I just wanted to pass this out so that you have that. And I can email it to you as well.
You want me to bring that up when the planning board, you know?
Yep, I just wanted to not have them make a decision yet, because one, Scott's not here, and he may have some comments for you. Highway's been asked to make a comment on it as well, and then the Board of Selectmen, so just want to give you
Does
some
this-
extra time.
Does this letter from Joseph make a recommendation from his perspective as town planner?
It does not. It's really up to the planning board and the selectmen and highway
I
to,
thought usually the planning board would vote and then if there's need for an appeal or something like that, then it would go to an attorney.
well, this is different, I believe, Neil, correct me if I'm wrong, this is different because they're asking for a change in their, change of their original plan.
Oh,
So that's why it's coming, they want to get everyone's opinion before they move forward with anything. So, just to give you plenty of time to review it and see what's going on, and I didn't mean to take your thunder away, Neil. I just didn't
That's
want them to
okay.
make a decision yet, without Scott being here and listening to
I was
highway.
there, I heard every word.
I know you did, and I heard that you did very well, but we're just trying to, so that was the only two things that I had under town manager to start with.
Today's Earth Day.
yeah.
Yes, it is.
So the reason this, I'm just trying to just get on track of why this is in front of us instead of the planning board, which I think was
It
kind of-
started there.
And I'm just reading this section. It says that the request makes significant reference to the request by BICO to have the private portion of Crescent Street accepted by the town. That's ultimately a select board issue. So even though the modifications to the plans is a planning board issue, the future acceptance of the roads is an us issue. So they're
So
putting it in front of us so that he doesn't get in a situation where the planning board says, yeah, go ahead, don't put sidewalks in, and then it comes to us and we say, well, too bad, now it can't be a town road because you didn't put sidewalks in,
And you'll hear also,
right?
not
Isn't that
only,
effectively what this is about?
you'll hear also from Highway, what kind of equipment they have to maintain it, how are they gonna get the equipment out there? Maybe there's no sidewalks between here and there, I don't think.
Are they asking for it to be accepted at this point or no?
No,
No, they're just,
Okay.
what I'm asking
For
for
the
you guys
future.
to do is to consider the concerns that BICO is presenting and make a recommendation to the planning board at the meeting on the 13th,
Okay.
if you
So,
want to.
So are there sidewalks along any of that other out there?
What was a picture of that with a sidewalk going down one side, then I imagine the town could probably take it over even without a sidewalk there. But if they have a sidewalk, then it should be like 5 foot. But,
you want to have a general discussion now?
I don't know.
Yeah, Neil, what else do you, there's no reason for us to take this back up later. It's worth talking now.
Okay.
So we're all on the same page of what we'll be talking about later.
All right. The anticipation is that you have, these people are over 55. So there are a lot of people walking in this development, and they want to walk. And we're anticipating that there's going to be a much higher traffic flow because Crescent Street goes all the way around from the cemetery. It goes in on the old Crescent Street, and it goes up around the hill, and then it comes out. So there's going to be a lot more traffic. And with the high-density housing they're putting in, there's going to be a lot of vehicles. And the mailboxes are, if, say, like, older people prefer to walk to their mailbox than start their car and drive down the street and then, So, there's going to be a lot of people walking.
Now, Neil, is that a bank of mailboxes as opposed to one at each house?
No, they're not going to have one at each house. They're all going to be in a
One-
central location.
Yep.
And they're on a corner. And the fact that the sidewalk is 4 feet wide and not 5 feet wide, from what I can gather, it's really not an issue because the town can easily contract the cleaning of the sidewalk if they want.
I
They're,
wouldn't imagine we would want the sidewalk plow operator to drive from downtown
no.
out to that location.
No, I
There
don't
aren't
think the
sidewalks that
town
get out there
needs to
anyway.
buy a special machine to go up there either, or transport it.
Mm-hmm.
There are contractors who take care of a lot of commercial properties in town who would jump at the chance to clean that sidewalk.
Yeah, so we'd handle it more like Boulder Point Drive,
Yeah,
where we award
yeah,
somebody a contract.
you know, I don't see it as an issue. Because, you know, we have all these contractors that do that work, that would, you know, put in bids on doing it.
Is there an ADA issue at all with the difference between 4 feet and 5 feet?
Well, from what I understand, there are 4-foot sidewalks in town, and they're being plowed currently by this 5-foot machine that we have. So, you know, it's not really, I don't see it as an issue myself.
So again, I brought it up so that the board can
We'll have
can
time to
maybe
research it, think about it.
take a ride on that road.
I mean,
Yep.
the big thing was if,
You know.
you know, if we're gonna require our highway superintendent to use his equipment, but I don't see that as being necessary. There've been many, many times in the history of this town that they've had subcontractors plowing roads and doing all kinds of things. And we still do. You know, we have, Piper's been plowing, that road up to Boulder Point.
Okay.
So, yeah, I know Boulder Point's been like a contracted thing, but what about sidewalks? Like, you know, as far as,
Oh, yeah, these guys have the equipment. They've got these
I'm
bobcats.
thinking specifically, how does like Highland Street out to Riverside Landing get,
Well,
that one
there's no
sidewalk there?
sidewalk.
well, there's a sidewalk
It
on both
stops
sides.
at Burger King.
And there's a sidewalk on the other side, but that's.
There's no sidewalk from Burger King.
Sidewalk
No,
ends
no,
at
no,
Riverside.
there's a sidewalk on the other side, which, you know, by McDonald's.
Oh, in the Riverside Landing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's theirs.
That's all Riverside Landings.
So
Yeah,
they
'cause those
contract.
aren't,
Yeah, they've got 3 Lakes doing it
no,
right
none
now.
of that is, those are all private roads inside
Yeah.
of Riverside.
Yeah, they've got,
Okay,
you know,
so
they've
this
got
is-
these,
If we take it
these
over, then.
landscape contractors. They've got every kind of a piece of equipment there
Sure.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it would be a cost for us if we took it over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd put it out to bid. It wouldn't cost you any more than if you did it yourself.
Maybe even less,
That's my opinion, yeah.
because you'd
Offering
have
to do it
to
now.
have a vehicle to carry the tractor out there.
Yeah. These guys have these little trailers and they tow them around. They go from place to place every storm. And, you know, I think, you know, cleaning up parking lots like Market Basket and Hatch Plaza and, you know, those are big jobs.
Yeah.
And they have a crew, you know, they got to, you know, to me, it's a little private enterprise.
Okay. So we have homework. Make sure you review that.
I really think that, you know, the real problem is Fairground Road. There's a lot of foot traffic, and there's no sidewalks, and people are walking in the gutter in between the snowbanks and the road. It's dangerous.
We
And
have,
it's not our responsibility. It's a state.
yeah, well, it's not the only place we have sidewalk issues. All of Tenny Mountain Highway.
Well, I'll tell you another one, the intersection, getting into another issue here, but the intersection of Smith Bridge Road and Tenny Mountain Highway, there is constant pedestrian traffic on the east side of Tenny Mountain Highway coming from the Ford parking lot, you know, where the pickup trucks are parked, coming down through there, trying to get to the corner. It's only about 2 feet wide. You know, it's dangerous.
Everything about that intersection is terrible.
We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
All right, anything else, Ann,
Those are
from
the
the
only
town
two.
manager comment section?
Nothing.
Do we have a police appointment rescinding?
This is a part-time patrolman for PSU who has left. So you don't see a resignation in there because he was from PSU, and I'm sorry, didn't get in the package, but, so he has left, and therefore we need to rescind his police appointment for the town of Plymouth as of April 10th.
Okay, I'll make a motion to rescind the police appointment for the part-time patrolman Joe Guerrero, effective April 10th.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, purchase orders, Stantec Consulting.
So the Stantec purchase order that you have before you is for the 24-25 year. It is for testing at the landfill. Stantec has been doing this for quite a few years, and we're asking the board to allow us to stay with them. It is $11,000 is the estimated price for testing.
Do you know what it was last year?
Same, 11,000.
Same.
They have not increased the
haven't changed
prices
any
in a few
prices.
years. Yep.
Have we ever looked to see if there's alternatives?
So I was thinking
I didn't hear you.
Have we,
alternatives or bid it out or.
We have not bid this out. We are confident that this company has been providing us the service needed at the landfill. If you would prefer, I can try to get a price, except for the testing is supposed to happen in the next week. So if you want to do that, I can either look at it for this year or I can look at it for the following year.
let's look at it for the following year. Just, we should do our due diligence and check in to see if the current provider is the best provider every so often.
Have they ever found any problems?
The state has not found any problems with their reports, no.
All their numbers are right
All
in
their-
line?
yep.
huh?
Everything is good, and they let us know immediately if
Yeah.
there was anything. I'm sure that they would let us know immediately.
And this attached letter from DES says date of issuance, August 17th, 2017, and date of expiration, August 16th, 2022. Is there some sort of
That was the
extension?
last letter that they had submitted. We had a several-year contract with them. So that is the letter that comes from DES advising that we have met all of our requirements.
Okay, but we didn't get one last year?
I have not gotten one yet, no.
Okay. How, is this perpetual, forever? This is something we have to do always, or?
I know that we have to continue to test that capped landfill. For how long, I don't know, but I don't know when it was capped originally.
5-year permit.
I can remember when it was capped, but I don't remember how long ago that was.
I provided all the sand to cap it.
I can ask that question, Zach.
It does talk about it a little bit in this letter that, that we've submitted a request for, the next thing, but anyway, it just seems strange that we're still doing this testing when we don't have the DES.
Permit for the last one. I will get that
Yeah.
as well. If you want to hold off, we can do that, or we,
There must be some method.
I think, I have no opposition to
Okay.
signing this, but it does feel like we should maybe
Okay.
close that loophole.
You ever look at their reports to see if there's methane coming out?
I'm sure there is. It would be almost impossible for it not to.
Maybe we could utilize some of that methane.
yeah.
Maybe there's not enough of it.
It doesn't
it's a
seem
low
like it's
volume.
big enough to,
Yeah.
and even for a part of that time, weren't they burning content and putting it in there? So anything that was burned probably isn't.
During the dump days,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they
Fire
burned
going
as
all the
much
time.
as they
They burned
could.
everything back then.
Yeah, it was awful, really wretched.
Yeah,
I'll believe you.
horrible when you went over there. Anyway,
I'll make a motion that we accept the Stantec Consulting 2024 landfill testing and monitoring solution for $11,000.
Second.
any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now we've got Crosstown Motors.
So in our budget for, this is again for 24-25, not the current year that we're in. In our budget, we budgeted $140,000 for this truck and outfitting it. The total purchase price now has increased, it's $155,000. So, to allow the highway department to move forward and acquire this truck, additional funds, of course, are needed. The select board is asked to approve a withdrawal in the amount of $15,531 from the capital reserve account entitled Highway Material Handling Equipment to cover the additional funds necessary, which will allow us to purchase this equipment that is readily available now. The current amount that is in the capital reserve that I just read is $105,500. So there's more than enough in that fund to withdraw to make this purchase.
So, does it have a diesel or a gas engine, do you know?
Everything is attached that I was given. It's an F-550.
Yeah, it's a diesel.
It's
Neil.
a Ford.
It's a 6.7 liter Cummins.
I guess they're pretty good. And it's a Cummins? It can't be a Ford then, it's a
No, it's
Dodge.
a Dodge.
It's from Crosstown Motors in Littleton.
Oh, you can't beat a Cummins diesel.
Is that good?
Oh, it's the
Okay.
best.
A 2024 Dodge Ram 5500, sorry.
Oh, and I'm
so-
guessing that's a dump body, huh?
No, it's a cab
From
only.
HP
No.
Fairfield.
Fairfield's gonna
Oh,
put
yes,
a dump
yes.
body on it.
The uplift package
Wow, that's a
includes.
lot of money.
That is a lot of
It
money.
is. Yeah,
He did
it's
get-
more for the dump body than it is for the truck itself.
Well, it's gonna have a plow and a sander. It's gonna be the whole package.
Yes, you're right. You're
We
right. It's
did
not just
get-
for the body.
We did get a price for the truck and chassis also from, it's like Dodge of Claremont. That came in originally at $80,045, so more than what Crosstown Motors was able to give it to, or sell it to us, give it to us, sell it to us for.
Where's Crosstown Motors located?
Littleton.
Oh, yeah.
I Googled to try to see if I could find a better price.
Did you find a better price? No. Good try.
I tried. I was like, wow, that's a lot of money.
Sir, you know how much a new 10-wheeler dump truck like mine cost?
That'll
It's like
be at the next meeting.
$200,000. Well,
That'll be at the next
this is
meeting.
155.
Yep. Pretty unbelievable.
It is. And the price has only jumped over the last 3 months. It's not going down.
No.
You ready?
I'm ready when you are.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the purchase of the 2024 Ram 5500 chassis 4x4 with 7 years, 75,000 warranty for the price of $79,381. And I will add the withdrawal of $15,531 from the capital reserve fund necessary to make that purchase.
Also the upfit package.
There's two
Second
purchase orders.
order.
Yeah, I figured I'd separate those two.
If that works for you.
Okay, or I could add it on. And the uplift package for $75,750, plus the undercoating of $400 for a total of $76,150, bringing the grand total for the whole kit and caboodle of $155,531. Here's a long proposal for you.
Sure is.
Go for it.
Second?
Who wants to second
Well,
it?
you're the truck person.
I mean, when it comes to trucks, it's
All
usually.
right, I'll second it. I didn't want to, but what else you gonna do?
Any discussion? All those in
Well,
favor?
those trucks take a wicked beating. The 550's a rugged truck, though. It's a really good truck.
All those in
We
favor?
haven't
You gotta
Aye.
wash,
Aye.
I want to add, I want to add, they got to wash it every time they bring it back in the shop. Get the salt off it.
Is that an amendment? to the,
Well, there'll be
Wash
a
the trucks.
submission for an under sprayer as they drive in.
Yeah.
ooh.
Yeah.
Would be fancy. That wool wax helps, though. All right, that's it for purchase orders. Old business. Bill Bolton.
Oh, I'm the, which
Baker
one's-
River.
Okay. So there was a request that we received from, I need my glasses, I guess, but, and actually Ann,
Here you go.
patience.
Yeah. We don't have anything in our packet about this one.
No, because
It's
Bill
okay, I
had
just
it
wanted to
all.
be,
He
yeah, I just
was
wanted to be
going-
sure I wasn't looking for something.
So we received a request from, it was USGS, Matt O'Donnell, and they requested the town of Plymouth's input on the changing, well, the request was for the changing of the names for Mount Washington and the Baker River. And unfortunately, this request was for both Mount Washington and the Baker versus one, single thing at a time. Regardless, the proposal was to change the Baker to the Esquamchamakee. It's an Abenaki name, and the name actually means Crooked River from High Places. Well, the history regarding the naming of the river goes back to, I have a whole bunch of stuff,
A
actually.
guy named Baker who,
Thomas Baker.
Yeah.
I got,
Captain Thomas Baker.
I got the
We all,
whole,
did we all review the background?
No.
So,
Do the dirty deeds.
yeah, Thomas Baker was actually involved in a massacre in Massachusetts. And he and his family survived that massacre. And he joined basically a group of rangers that went around northern New Hampshire to look for Indians. And what happened back then, this was like 17,
40?
it could have been, well, actually, I'll actually read the thing, but 1712.
1712.
Yep. And his job was basically to, look for not necessarily Indian encampments. He was looking for basically, Indian aggressors. And what he found with his troop was an Indian village at the confluence of the Baker and the Penny. These were not aggressors. They were not warring. They were just living there. And Thomas Baker came by with his 34 scouts from Northampton, Mass. And they basically wiped out the whole encampment. They killed every Indian there. And also collected scalps and returned to Massachusetts and received 40 pounds. And because of Baker's success, they made him a captain. But I'll read to the caption of, there are two actual, indications, or at least plaques, down by the community gardens. And one was regarding just historic marker from the state. It says, known to Indians as Esquamchamakee. The nearby river was renamed for Lieutenant Thomas Baker, 1682 to 1753, whose company of 34 scouts from Northampton, Mass. Passed down this valley in 1712. A few miles south, his men destroyed a Pemigewasset Indian village. Massachusetts awarded the expedition with a scalp bounty of $40 and made Baker a captain. And there was a similar marker that read, Esquamchamakee was the name of the Baker River in the language of the Pemigewasset Indians, meaning crooked water from high places. Here was the site of their Indian village. On these meadows, they cultivated corn. In the sandy banks of the river, they stored their furs. In March 1712, Lieutenant Thomas Baker and 30 scouts destroyed the village and killed many Indians, including the chief. Erected by the Esquamchamakee chapter daughters of the American Revolution in 1940. And this is a quote from the article where this was described. The story I've read was that Baker and his scouts attacked the village while most of the men of the tribe were off on a hunting party. Not hunting, people, they were hunting, skins. The invaders slaughtered the entire village, sparing no one. When the Pemigewassa tribe came back to find their tribe slaughtered, they were so disheartened that they were easy to drive off and sent to northern New Hampshire and Maine to await more eventual conquests from the white settlers. And it's kind of maybe not the most correct analogy, but the Vietnam War, I know you're familiar with it.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with it, and there was a massacre at My Lai where U.S. troops went in and slaughtered just an innocent Vietnamese village and, raped the women and killed the children and women and left no one there as well. So basically, they were not aggressors, and we ended up as American soldiers and, their entities. They went in and slaughtered everybody. We didn't name a river after that person. That person was basically chastised and, tried, and he was sent to jail. So it's a similar kind of a thing where peaceful Indians were living on the banks of the Baker and the Pemi, and they were killed probably by mistake, or maybe actually he was still harboring a grudge from a massacre in Massachusetts. And I think it's kind of like inappropriate to name our river the Baker after such a person. And initially I was going to go actually and submit a piece of legislation to change the name, and consulted with some Abenaki Indians, and they unfortunately went with a desire to change both Mount Washington, and I don't advocate the changing of the name of Mount Washington, and also the Abenaki and the people that were reviewing it were saying no. George Washington was an honorable person, and everyone knows it as Mount Washington. Whereas the Baker River and the Esquamchamakee, I think the story kind of indicates that it would probably be a fair thing to change it. Unfortunately, they're still looking at both the name changes, and they're approaching all the towns where at least the Baker River, flows through. And there are a couple towns already that have voted against this. I guess it was Hebron and two smaller towns upriver said, no, I agree with not changing the name. And even if we voted to say, yes, it should be changed, it still has to go to a vote. So I'm advocating for the change of name, and whether or not it flies, that's up to the federal government or.
I was going to say, process-wise, who changes the names of rivers?
So
It's the USGS.
Yeah, it is. And they are now doing this query to find out if they should go forward with a vote.
This was a topic of conversation at the Conservation Commission.
Also,
What did the Conservation Commission weigh in on it?
Yeah, they weighed in support of the name change.
and Perlac, I mentioned it at the last Perlac meeting, and it was well received as well. So.
Well, Pemigewassa,
Well, I did forward an email, I think, to everyone, who was it? Native American place names. New Hampshire is famous for adopting Native American place names. The Ammonoosuc River, the Amoskeag Falls, Kentucky River, Grand Monadnock, Kearsarge, Massabesic, Merrimack, Mount Pisgah, Nashua, the Pemigewasset, the Saco, the Sunapee Lake, Suncook River, Umbagog, Lake Winnipesaukee, Sohegan River. So, we are very much a Native American, termed state, and I think it kind of like fits with that. Another thing too, Baker had a place that was, for the success of he and also other scouts that came across Native American aggressors, they allowed properties to be named after those people, and where the heck is it? Oh, so he received a grant in Massachusetts to name a town called Bakerstown, and the grant bears date of Wednesday, the 26th of October, 1749. 20 years later, the name of the town was changed to Salisbury. So I don't think Baker received that much respect even,
Even in his time.
yeah.
It also sounds like, naming a river after a guy who was here for a couple of days and brought nothing but violence and hatred with him doesn't necessarily need to stick.
True. I agree. So I guess, Ann, you need direction to respond to?
The email came in to me, but, if the board wants to, if this is what the board wants to do, Bill, there's no reason why you can't reach out to this gentleman. I
On
think
behalf of the town?
yeah, I think you've heard from him a few times.
We should probably just get a quick consensus of the board.
Yeah, yeah, when you're ready.
Well, I think it sounds like a noble effort. I'm thinking about Tecumseh and Osceola and Moosilauke, and I know that this was Esquamacamaki.
Yeah, it's not like someone made up a new name. It's very clearly was the name of the river, and I would say we should support.
I like the idea
the
of
right direction.
the native name. I know there's going to be resistance, but I think that we need to have an education campaign.
I think that's how they
Know
want.
more about it, like
Yeah.
what you just said,
Okay. So,
Ken?
You want a motion?
I was thinking consensus was probably fine. I was just looking for your perspective.
I'm fine either way. I mean, I think that it's worthwhile if there's a lot of support for it, especially given the history of the naming that reverted back to its original name.
Yeah. All right. You have consensus.
all right, so I'll answer for the town to you, okay.
Yep,
Very
just
good.
send us a CC on it so that we know that that's done and we can maybe follow it from here. I don't know. As you said, there's several towns that are involved,
Yeah.
but does it have to be a
Hebron's not in
majority
this
or does
watershed.
everybody have?
Hebron's not in our watershed.
No, I know. So, yeah, but, and even if we say, yes, we should go, go down to, go back to the original name, we're a larger town than, a couple of towns have already answered, but I think it's gonna require separation of, the Esquantumaki from Mount Washington.
For sure.
Yeah.
Connecting those two together seems like just.
Yeah. That was,
It
was
seemed a little
disappointing.
arbitrary. They're not even close to each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I bet Ted knows a lot of Indian names.
Probably do.
You've been running on all their paths.
Yes, I think a native name makes a lot of sense. Thanks, Bill.
All right, thank you.
I think the Asquam Ridge Trail on Mount Moosilauke has genesis in this name
Yeah.
too.
Interesting.
If I remember reading it correctly.
And I appreciate you saying Moosilauke, whereas somebody else on the table said Moosilauke, but what's in a name?
Kankamagas.
Yes, but most
Yes.
people pronounce that one wrong because they don't look at the spelling.
Well,
They add an N in there.
yeah, there's some, but they also say Kankamagas too, but Kankamagas.
You're from Massachusetts.
No.
That's right.
All right. On to the signature file.
Okay, so I only have two items tonight for the board to approve. One is the ambulance service contract with the town of Holderness. They're going to stay with us for another year.
That's good.
And
They do some math on that and realize it wasn't going to be such a good deal to.
I think so.
Go
After
elsewhere.
some discussion with,
We heard from Ashland.
we have heard from Ashland, but, or at least
there was a letter that came in to the fire department that Ashland was uninterested in participating. However, I guess I should step back. As an Ashland taxpayer, I've reached out and made a presentation to explain to them it is more expensive to take it in-house in Ashland. So they're reconsidering it. I don't know if we'll be successful, but it's, you know,
It's up to them.
it's up to them, right?
Well, to you and them.
But Scott has also, they have new members on their board. So Scott, I know, has had a conversation with the individual that's new, and they understand whether or not they can get full board support or majority. We'll find out.
as I watched the select board meeting, it was very interesting. He provided a very crystal clear explanation of why it would probably be better to go with the town of Plymouth than spend maybe 3 times as much and just do it yourself. But anyway, it was,
So we'll see.
Yeah.
They have a meeting, I'm sure, coming up sometime in May. Maybe they'll have a discussion at that point and we'll know for sure. But right now, they've decided not to stay with us.
If they wait long enough, the price of ambulances will go up on them, and
All right, so the next item I have is the wage increase for the town manager. Of course, we ask the selectmen to sign this. This is for the 7/1/24, 3% increase for the employee.
he's doing an outstanding job.
I
He
agree.
puts up with me, too.
And me.
Me as well.
He simply tolerates me.
I've heard that.
That's all I had.
He has no opinion on Bill.
yeah, the
Jury's still out. I was going to say that.
So that's signature file. Committee reports. Mary Ann's not here. That takes us to planning board.
Okay. Planning board met on April 18th. We had a 3.5-hour meeting. The Yetton Road development with Hess Engineering for Comfort Keepers. They want to build 2 commercial buildings. They want to start with one, phase 1, and then have another one, phase 2. They needed to get, they needed to locate where the sewer line goes through the property that comes down Yetton Road and then goes behind the log cabin over the bridge, because it's right on their property. They're right opposite the entrance to that little mini mall there. And we think that they aren't ready. So they're waiting for their wetland permit and their highway entrance permit from the state. So we postponed their meeting until next meeting. We were hoping that they could be there, but it didn't happen. So then,
Do they have to exit on the highway, or they can do
well,
on
it's right
Yetton Road?
on Yetton Road.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
But do they need a curb cut for the highway?
well, yeah, it's a state highway, Yetton Road.
Well, no, I was just wondering if they needed one, or versus just,
Well,
Yetton Road.
they don't have any. They gotta have a driveway permit from the state.
Is
Yeah.
Yetton Road's a state road?
no,
Yeah,
no, Yetton Road isn't.
yes, sure is.
It is?
It is, it's a state highway. Just like Fairground Road. And Quincy Road,
Okay,
Smith Bridge Road.
so yeah, I guess they do.
Okay, so the second one was Mountain View Farms, Byco, the Blackie Brothers, requesting to modify approval of their subdivision to remove or not install sidewalks and curbs. We, there was at the public hearing, there was snow removal. Mr. Blackie gave an excellent presentation. And then it was agreed that the planning board wanted the select board to consult on this. And so there was a motion to continue to May 16th as to whether or not to approve their request.
The way you just stated that, it's not, they want to remove the sidewalk? It's not a 3-foot
Well, yeah,
or
they've
a
already
4-foot versus a
installed,
5-foot?
they've already installed some of the sidewalk. And, I don't think it's gonna make any difference to them one way or the other. But, they seem to be inclined to want to not have the sidewalks, but, there's so many people walking out there, you have those issues, and, you're gonna have increased traffic, and, they're building a lot more.
Could I ask a question? So, so if the sidewalk is like 4 feet, is there a requirement for the town to take over?
Well, if
Just
the
the
town takes
sidewalk?
over the road, they gotta take over the sidewalks.
Is there any mandate that a sidewalk has to be 5 feet for the?
No,
Oh, no, for the town. I mean, there's a list of things that,
no, I think it passes for the handicap access requirements. There was no mention of that
okay.
at the hearing.
When you review the information that Joseph provided and watch the meeting, if you still have questions, let us know. We'll try to get answers and present them at the next meeting. There are sidewalks there now. However, they're not completely built yet. So there's only a sections, and you'll see them on the plans.
Can you also make sure we have the road acceptance criteria?
Right.
Just because we may want to reference that when we're in the discussion.
And you'll take a ride maybe out through there just to look and see
I'm
what.
sure that the engineer's design meets all the access, handicap access requirements, or we wouldn't have approved it. So,
But I can ask that
May
question.
16th is the next meeting. So, Mountain Village Charter School had no updated plans. They had requested a postponement for 3 months. They have a conditional approval, so the motion to continue was approved. Then the big issue came in the final presentation from the Hilton Home to Suites Hotel at 12 Smithbridge Road, which is on the old Roby farm. And the first thing was they wanted to subdivide a 4.43 acre parcel from the 40.55 acre parcel, which leaves a remainder of 36.12 acres. And the proposed lots meet the minimum standards for setbacks, area, and frontage, but they're really tight. The conditional approval to accept the application for subdivision was approved and accepted. To accept the application for site plan as complete was accepted. That was to subdivide the 4.43 acre lot.
Where's this
Now,
located,
this
Neil?
lot is immediately adjacent to the properties of David Cody at the animal hospital and the
Before it.
house.
Right before it.
Before it. Oh, okay.
Right before
Okay,
it.
I know what you're
Yellow
talking
house.
about now. Yeah.
So, it's gonna be like a 15-foot setback from the boundary line to this project. And it's a 3-story hotel, and there was a lot of blowback.
From the
It was a
abutters?
standing room only in this room. Standing room only. There was a lot of blowback. But the biggest concern is that there's going to be 93 suites in this hotel.
You can't take a left.
And the
I know.
intersection
The
at
intersection.
Smith Bridge Road is,
It's already a nightmare.
yeah, that's a serious question. So, they did a traffic study, which tended to be fairly favorable to them. But, The
Do
planning,
the traffic study?
it was Jeff Dirk from Vaness and Associates did the traffic study in, it was for them.
Yeah.
And in the public hearing, it was decided that we need scoping and traffic impact analysis and review extended and independently. We need an independent review. We had a motion to continue this application until May 16th. And then there was discussion about having our state representative or representatives and our state senator and our governor's counselor all work together to see what we can do to get the state to do something about that intersection. Because there's a very negative blowback against having any increase of traffic load on that intersection. You know, it was designed in like 1952 and built in 1953, and at that time there was nothing there except farmland all the way out. And you know, the co-op has an offset. It's worse than the intersection at the school. You know, you've got this offset intersection, and there's a lot of traffic going in and out of the co-op. And then you've got this marijuana store, which is probably going to go big time now. Did the governor sign the bill?
I think it went over to the Senate. I don't think
Oh, it's in the Senate now? You know, there's the House passed the marijuana bill,
Yes.
so it's going to legalize marijuana. And these guys are going to be one of the 17 stores in the state that can sell it. Is that right?
It depends.
Maybe.
Yeah, it could go, like the liquor store, might, it's still kind of up in the air as far as like,
Okay.
who's gonna be selling it.
Yeah.
But
Well, anyways, there's a lot of traffic there.
There's a lot of traffic there.
It's frankly,
I can't believe the traffic study came back positive for them.
yeah,
there's been a lot of accidents
Stack the
there.
deck.
I mean, I guess.
no deaths.
No deaths yet.
Yeah,
That's
but-
why. Nobody's
You know,
died.
dropping the speed limit to 35 was a big help. But still, most people are terrified trying to get out of there.
I'd simply go right.
100%.
But if
Go
you
left.
live out there, it's really frightening. You know, it's enough to cause a nervous breakdown, trying to get through that intersection.
Yeah, it's
And
terrible.
I usually take Fairgrounds Road when I go out,
but the discouraging thing
just to
too
avoid
is
it.
We're not gonna do anything with that
But-
until like, maybe 2030.
32?
Yeah, 32.
2032,
Yeah.
is that when it's
Yeah.
scheduled?
Well,
it's supposed to be on the part
what
of the
we're
10-year
thinking
plan.
is maybe we could get lights there
Yeah,
if we're going to have this hotel. Personally, I think the hotel is a little too close to the property line of the animal hospital, and
Or
there's going to be a
the
lot of
house.
friction there.
that mustard colored house is gonna get torn down.
I was going to say, is that house getting torn down or is it
It's
staying?
gone.
The
That's
big old
unfortunately.
farm.
Then the neighbor is like right there too. I
Well-
know they didn't anticipate being next to a hotel, but
Well, she won't have sunlight in the morning. She'll be in a shadow.
That's the mobile home.
No,
It's
it's a
a-
regular Cape type house,
Okay.
right there, right across from the flower shop.
I think the
You
mobile.
know where the
homes
flower
are
shop is.
Roby, but I think, didn't they
So-
move? I think so.
So we're supposed to think about this. They want our opinion.
Come up with a solution
Personally,
at the intersection.
I wish they had put the hotel further away from that property line. And I don't think they should be able to build that hotel until something is done about that intersection. And I really like to see the hotel,
I mean, I
because
don't
it would be
disagree with
good for our
anything-
town.
I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying, but are they applying for any sort of special exceptions or?
No?
Well, if
No,
it's
they-
all within the zoning regulations,
Yeah.
I'm not sure what leg we have to stand on to tell them
Well,
to act differently.
it's a matter of public safety.
I could agree with that if we're talking about the intersection. but
Right.
not the setbacks.
Oh, no.
I mean, we can
No,
encourage them
they
to
legally
act
meet the
differently.
requirements of the zoning ordinance. But it's a matter of public safety, and and there's another thing that bothers me is that, you know, they've squeezed this thing into the smallest possible area off to the side, and they got 36 acres.
Yeah.
I think we really need to know what their master plan is. You know, they're gonna try to piecemeal this whole development.
Of course they are.
They've already taken off a little chunk on the other side.
Just historically, we didn't ask that or demand of that of Riverside Landing. It was just piecemeal, which we approved. We don't have to do that in the future, but
Well, I
See, I
that
thought-
that bothers me.
I thought this hotel that you're talking about was gonna be built at Riverside Landing. That was the
that,
last I
that
heard.
was
Well,
that was another.
That was
But
the
it's
same hotel.
That's the,
Oh, that was
that
the same
same
one? I
hotel.
thought it
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it's the extended
Um,
stay.
Apparently, it appears that the developers didn't, for whatever reason, decided not to go with Riverside Landing.
Okay. As far as I'm concerned, that was a better location because it's all
I thought it was
walkable, there's
perfect.
sidewalks, it's a light, you know,
Yeah,
it's all.
yeah. And
from-
there's
from our
no
perspective, that's a better
problem
place
with the
for it.
intersection.
No, none at all.
It's in the commercial district, really, you know?
Yeah,
So, it's kind of too bad.
it is too bad, yeah.
But, this is the same outfit that was talking to
Okay.
Riverside Landing.
Huh.
So, you know, I'd really like to know what their plans are for the whole site. You know, the state usually wants to know what your master plan is, you know, when you're doing a development, you know.
There's a want to know and there's what they're required to tell us, which may be two entirely different things.
Well, I think, you know, we're at the point now where we have a public safety issue, and it's got to be rectified. You know, if we put in traffic lights,
And the state says they'll solve it for us in 8 years.
yeah, well, it might have to wait 8 years then. Well, I hate to say that.
So coming in off that road is a state road, correct?
They're both state roads.
Okay, so.
So I don't
is the
think we have any
state-
jurisdiction.
Right, is the state allowing the driveway where they want it and,
I imagine so. I don't think that was settled yet. You know, I think that they can
'Cause that's where the
probably.
state would have to come in and say, we don't think the roads support what you're trying to do.
My guess is that their engineers have carefully considered what the state's requirements are at where they decided to put their main access road, which is going to be right across from the lawyer's office. And the owner of the lawyer's office was very upset about this. You know, there was a lot of blowback all the way around.
So Neil, what do you want the legislative contingent to do?
I want you guys to go down there and attack the governor and council.
The intersection, he's talking about the intersection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the fact that this project is coming down the pike and that a
Well,
solution
yeah,
has to be
we,
found
you
for
know,
the intersection.
you know, we
before-
may not be able to go forward with it for public safety reasons. We've already got a failed intersection. And we got, you know, the pedestrians walking a fine line, trying not to get hit by cars in between the guardrail and the road, and the road's not properly striped. There are no passing signs at that intersection. People are passing at that intersection. The paint's worn off.
The problem is the state doesn't see it that way.
Well, that's because they don't live here. They don't want to see it that way.
I know.
So I'm a little fired up about it because I live out there, and I hear it from everybody all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's terrible.
Do you want to, I mean,
I want our state representatives
Well,
and
yeah, get a letter
state
going.
senator and state
executive council?
governor's counselor and, you know, the whole team.
Yep.
I want you to all get together and
Should we as a town write a
go to the
letter
governor and council.
to send it to all four
Yeah.
of them?
Well, that's a good start.
Yep.
Yeah.
You want to draft something?
Me? Yeah, I guess I probably could with a little help. Who wants
I'll
to
help
help
you.
me? We'll sit down together.
So
Yeah,
you give me what you have, and
yeah.
just give me all the things that we
Bullet
want to.
points.
Yeah,
Give
give me
Ted the
the-
bullet
Yeah.
points. You can turn it into a letter.
Yeah,
We'll all sign it, send it to the governor, to City Warmington, to the reps, and to the senator.
3 reps.
Three reps to the
Senator.
Senate.
we'll get right on it.
We'll get 5 copies out, 6 copies
Yeah.
out, whatever that is.
Get you
We'll say,
guys all
hey,
together.
This is a
Yeah,
concern.
go
for
down to
us.
the governor and council with it. Maybe we can get them to move up the engineering, you know?
Well, so if we start advocating
But
now,
if
and
we
then
got
City
traffic
Warmington
lights
ends up next
anyway,
governor, then,
At least have traffic control.
head in the right direction.
Yeah, we need traffic control. That's basic, you know? I drove through like 14 states last week from Florida all the way up through New York City, and, you know, I saw plenty of traffic control. I mean, we're pretty small compared to what I was driving through. You know, you go through cities like Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia, and New York City, and Hartford, Connecticut, and, you know, all the way up through, you know, Jacksonville and Richmond, Virginia. I'm telling you, you know, it's a challenge, you know, and the traffic is unbelievable.
If we produce that letter, do you feel satisfied with that as a next step?
I think so. I think if we can just get some action
So
going.
give me the
I'm into
bullet
it.
points that we want to make sure we cover,
Okay.
Yeah, we'll try to get it signed next meeting.
as detailed as you can.
Yeah,
about
I'll
what
go down and
specifics
see
are.
Joseph.
That's what I was
and
thinking, yeah,
I'll go over
Joseph
it with
would have-
Joseph,
Good input.
and then we'll form the letter.
I'll throw it together. I have a tool that'll help me.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I know you're an expert.
ChatGPT or-
Anything else from planning board of note?
Well,
good.
we continued that application to May 16th.
Okay.
And that's the end of the meeting. It was a 3.5-hour meeting.
It's a good one. Campus Community Council.
We met on the 10th, right here. The agenda was PSU orientation schedule, basically just do tile, detailed when they have students coming in. Specifically, they have smaller than usual groups initially because of the whole FAFSA debacle. So students basically don't know what their student aid package is yet. So they've also
Those have come out in the past week, so it's actually moving forward.
extended the deadline for submitting their deposits until June 1st, as I recall. Second topic on the agenda was the Office of Community Access. Basically, she had a whole bunch of things she went over in here about all of the things that they do with student engagement, getting them into the community. Much more than I am prepared to talk about in detail.
View the video.
But, you know, it was recorded and people can watch the details. Next up, they talked about Spring Fling. That is coming up this coming weekend. Specifically, you know, they're going to have, and I don't remember the name of the band,
Little Skies,
Little Skies, yeah, that's it.
What's the date of Spring Fling?
27th?
Saturday.
Saturday evening.
I hope it's a nice day.
Last time I saw the forecast, indications were that it was not going to rain.
It might snow.
No snow either, yeah. Yes, Mary Lion Lawn area. So, you know, yes, it will be loud, but the nice thing is it's in such a place where most of the sound is kind of directed out across the,
Over to Holderness.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah. They can enjoy it.
Yeah. She also talked about PSU enrollment. A little hard to forecast specifically what their incoming class will be because of that deadline with the FAFSA. But, you know, one of the things that we face here in New England is a lowering availability of college-age students because of people aren't having enough kids. At least they hadn't 18 years ago, roughly. So there's a lot fewer students available in our market. It's not helped by the fact that the state doesn't really support higher education. So there's limited investment. If you doubled our state allocations, we'd still be dead last at 50. So that being said, and then there was discussion about the things that PSU and the town are doing together. The intern at the police department, was another intern too. I'm trying to remember where it was.
Planning.
Well, we have a young lady on the planning.
Okay, must have been it. Some of the crossing guard / police swap-in duties that we're doing, a number of different things. So I think overall this was a very positive meeting. There wasn't a lot of back and forth with the audience. We did get some positive praise from a member who has been a participant of the Campus Community Council in the past that liked basically the direction we're going in. There was a request by that same individual for some kind of landlords list at PSU. Just took that and was going to put it through the proper channels at PSU. And that's the best I can remember.
The only other item was the award that Scott received
Oh,
from
yes.
the president,
Yes. And Scott had
USNH, I guess, in general.
an award that was presented, I think it was down Concord.
Yeah,
It was
I
Manchester.
think you
Yeah.
attended. Maybe you could
Yeah,
get.
you attended, Bill, right?
Yep. Oh, it's great. Each higher education entity presented like community awards, scholastic awards. There was like several different categories, and PSU awarded the town of Plymouth the community award, and Scott was the benefactor of that. So, but yeah, it was
I had a
impressive.
discussion with Scott regarding some new developments with the university, partnering with the town regarding developing academic multiple disciplines, working on developing plans to attract people to come to Plymouth to experience the university and the town as a promotional venture. And it's really impressive, and I think it's going to be great.
I think so too.
And that's all
That's it.
from campus community.
All right, school district, you're still on the,
Not meeting until May, so we've
Okay.
already reported on the last meeting.
conservation?
Conservation Commission met last week, basically on the 19th. I have the minutes here. There was a long discussion about the bylaw revisions that they made. They had a special meeting where they went over that. Came out with a fairly succinct set of bylaws that have been updated. There was talk on the Oxbow project. Basically, Justin made a cleanup project for some of his students, and they went out there and they filled trash bags and moved all that debris up to the front of the property, which was going to go have somebody pick it up. So that was one of the things that they did. They still have a porcelain toilet that's out there that it was too big for them to just
To lift and carry? I need a four-wheeler
maybe
or something.
somebody to take a truck or something out
They
there.
need a gator. You know, one of those John Deere gators.
I hear Neil is volunteering to take his truck.
Yeah, I don't have one. I have a front end loader. You don't want that out there.
They did have a report from the Trails Committee. Basically, the biggest issue that we have there is On June 23rd, they're going to formally dedicate the new bridge to Gigi and Paul Estes. That's a Sunday. It wouldn't be bad if those here who are interested and want to do that walkout at that date. Gigi will be here with, I forget who she's going to bring with her. I
Is
think
that
it's her
Walter
son.
Newton?
Yeah, it's a bridge out there. It's the really nice new bridge right as you cross over the brook near the falls.
By the waterfall?
Oh,
I
okay.
think that's it.
All right. That's probably the only bridge there.
Well, there's other
I know,
small,
little
small.
small-
Up by the waterfall,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
It looked like that I was out there this past winter. It looks like you could put a lot of people on that one bridge and it would still stand. So it's really well made. They're also looking at a trails cleanup day on May 4th. So they're coordinating that.
When was the bridge dedication? When was that? For
The
Gigi?
23rd of June. That's so Gigi could attend.
Okay.
There was a rather long discussion on the planning board. All of those issues Neil's already covered, so I'm not going to
Perfect.
cover those. Let's see. Wetlands. There was a good discussion on the NRI. They're still trying to get that initiative off the ground. They do have some documents that they're building to get an RF, fill in the X, or RFP, RFQ, to get out there to get an idea of how much that's going to cost. It's pretty much decided at this point that they can't really do the NRI completely themselves. They've exhausted all efforts internally to get it on the cheap. So they were talking about putting a proposal forward to the town as a warrant article to fund that. Let's see what else. They also made a conversation about the name change of the Baker River. I'm not going to go into detail, but essentially they came all in favor of the name change. And that pretty much, the last thing they did have a discussion about was the reappointment to the PCC. There was some discussion about how that gets initiated. I'm not really sure the details now. It's been a week. But basically, I think we agreed that the reappointment letter should come from, the request for reappointment should come from the PCC and land somewhere here to then be sent to the board. And they're not sure if that's actually what happens today. There's a number of people whose terms are up but haven't come through to.
So the interested individual should go to the chairman and say, I'm interested in being on your board still. And then the chairman, along with that request, would come to our office here, and then we would bring the appointments to the board.
That's how I thought it should be and
If
how it
there's,
was.
I can reach out to the chairman of that board if you want me to. I know Scott has already reached out once.
Joan and Melissa, they're
Joan,
co-chair.
yep. You want us to do that?
Yeah,
Make sure that we're okay.
that would be excellent. And that pretty much sums it up.
All right. No update on capital improvement. LRPC?
I attended, and then focuses on like the meeting, the annual meeting coming up in June. And what?
Can't hear you.
That's okay, nobody wants to hear me. So, and there still are 5 applicants for the new executive director position. We didn't hear anything more than just 5 applicants.
So no movement on that yet.
No, the interesting thing is, so both the executive director and Sean, I forget his last name, but he was working with the TAC And also other projects, he's leaving as well. So it was kind of an interesting, I guess the top two people are leaving.
Wow.
If you consider Sean, I guess that Sean's technically one of the top, persons then there. That's pretty much it.
Parks and Rec?
They haven't met, but they did send us all a booklet about their summer programs, which was quite all-inclusive. There's a lot of things there. I think the booklet, which is online at simpleBooklet.com/Plymouth_rec_summer_2024_rec opportunities. For
Can we get
those,
that linked on the website somewhere?
I would imagine so, but, speaking
catch
it
that?
out. We all got it, but I can send a copy on to Ann because Scott's not here.
You've also got the fishing derby this weekend,
Oh, neat.
on Saturday. I think that starts maybe around 8.
Usually starts early.
Yeah, 7 or 8, depending on what level you're in, so that should be,
Right.
that goes,
Haven't done that in a while.
yeah.
Just grab some little kid and go for it.
Make sure they know you first.
That's right. Yeah.
Anything else from Parks and Rec, Ted?
That's the only thing I'm aware of.
No Mary Ann, so we'll skip Parking Committee, Energy Commission.
We had a meeting, we went over the, a lot of the answers to the questionnaire that was issued. But also too, just more recently, Suzanne Smith, she had a remembrance of her life at this is like yesterday, at the barn. And I ran into somebody who let me know of federal monies that are being, released. I know I copied you or Scott or something.
And Scott?
And apparently there's enough money. It's a quick hit. They want to release this and award it. And it's going to be targeting towns that are like Plymouth. We are actually in need of financial assistance. So we're probably in a really good spot in order to capitalize on this offering. And again, it's a short turnaround time. It's about to be released. I haven't checked with our congressional people, but I'm not certain if it's either Shaheen money or whatever, but they want to get rid of it. So we might be able to take advantage of that.
I was just seeing if I could put my finger on it real quick, but you mentioning that made me think there was a news article today that the Biden administration's about to put out $7 billion for solar.
Holy crap, that's probably it. Wow.
The Energy Commission is coming in at the next meeting because they want to talk about the solar project. So
Right.
maybe at that point, she might have more information.
Yeah, okay. And also, similarly, Grace released an email today saying, great news, we have learned that the pricing details have been worked out between Barrington Power and the co-op. Barrington confirmed this morning that they can construct the array within the proposed $684,000 budget. Next step is for Barrington to provide the town with a schedule, and then Scott can issue a notice to proceed. So,
Great news.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've been concerned at how long this has been delayed, that we were going to get a
Yeah.
20% increase or something on this.
Yep.
We started to, and then Scott sent Barrington Power has been very good at working with the co-op.
Yep.
Scott reached out to the co-op as well, and they've been able to work through this and
That's great.
make it work.
That's great.
Yep.
But they will be here at the meeting on the 13th to give the board a full update.
Anything else, Energy Commission?
Nope. That's it.
Advisory Budget Committee.
Did you say May 13?
Yes, at the next selectmen's meeting, they'll be here.
Advisory Budget Committee is at rest. PSU negotiations similarly at rest. Chamber of Commerce, no Mary Ann. PERLAC.
We met. You weren't there.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't here.
Okay. And we ended up having a new member from Holderness, show up, which was nice. And
When's the next meeting?
last Tuesday of every month, so it's going to be the 30th.
So next week.
Yep.
At the
Yeah.
library?
No, probably so, yeah. Yep, in the community room.
You don't have any trouble booking it, do you?
We used to. I
There
mean,
been times when it was difficult?
we had problems with the Girl Scouts, but I guess they picked a different night or whatever, but, so yeah, it's pretty available. Last Tuesday of the month. They used to do it like 4 months in advance, but they've kind of like cut back on how quick or how far out you can, regardless. Yeah, it's going to be at the community room. That's it.
Police and Fire Building Committee Assessment, I think we're renaming this, by the way, so I think it's gonna be the Community Building Assessment, I don't know, there's a different name. Anyway, we met last Monday, was a good conversation. We discussed a bunch of potential sites, starting to close in on a few options to go do some more exploration around. And so Scott had some homework to make some phone calls to some prospective locations. I think Chief Morrison and Deputy Chief were going to go walk one of those properties last week. I haven't heard any update on that yet, but yeah, it came out of that meeting with more momentum than I expected. I think that committee was feeling a little deflated with the price of the location here. I don't know what the address is, but on Main Street, where the old next to where the old McDonald's was.
The house that was torn
The
down?
house that was torn down. They want something like $8 million or something for that piece of
Wow.
property. Some
Now that we've
absolutely
improved it?
insane price. I don't know if that's the number, but it was.
It was preposterous.
It was they're asking a preposterous amount of money for that piece of property. So the whole building committee was kind of like, oh, well, we'll be able to convince the town to buy that piece of property. And it was like, nope, sure, not going to be able to. So
Maybe their assessment should be raised.
You say it's
from a
worth this
certain point of
much.
view. So interesting but so we started that meeting with everybody feeling a little deflated, and then lots of ideas were thrown around, and we came out the other side thinking, oh, maybe there's some path here to get some energy again. So
Well, you want to remember that if you get into a wetland, the average cost per acre for mitigation is about $1 million.
Stay out
make
of the
sure we stay out of
wetlands.
wetlands.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And nothing from union negotiations. Public comments.
Yeah, Frank Miller. I want to comment on that Smith Bridge, Tenny Mountain Highway intersection, and I attended the planning board meeting, and my recommendation was to seek assistance in the political area. That's been on the docket now for 50 years. The state has recognized that the road was designed back when, 60 years ago, and its capacity is long past its present configuration. And I would like to pass along that I think as a citizen that we have to wait, the state has to wait until somebody dies before we act is reprehensible. And I think we found with the circle right here at Bridge Street that it's a calming design rather than a light. And I think that's one of the reasons we reduced some of the speeds on Tenny Mountain. And a roundabout, I think, would be, that would serve us well. And I really think that to impress upon the legislators who are in charge of the funding to do an expedited engineering so that possibility exists. We could get that accomplished sooner than later than we keep putting it off. Every 10-year plan, it's put off, put off, put off. And I think the state needs to stand up and acknowledge that given the intensity of the road use, which is beyond the control of the town, because a lot of the traffic building up from Rumney and other points that are not part of our planning board process of looking at levels of use, but also the increased use of by ourselves, by our own development that's in process now, Tenny Mountain High Ski Area, so on and so forth. But as a citizen, I spoke about getting that political connection and impressing upon them that we should not have to wait until somebody dies to do corrective action. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
I would agree.
Any other public input?
Any interest? Come on, don't be shy.
Thank you for sticking it all the way out.
Yeah, really.
Appreciate it.
We have all this?
So my thought was this meeting wouldn't last more than 45 minutes, but I have several non-public sealed minutes that I'm,
Oh,
Yeah. I think we
just
can
a few, if you
we can
want
go
to
through
bang
those.
them out
Yeah,
so we can get,
non-public?
yeah, if you go.
So I'll make a motion to go into non-public in accordance to RSA 91-A:3, comma, 2A through E. All of the above.
Second.
Neil, your vote.
Aye.
Zach, aye. Bill.
aye.
Ted.
Aye.
We will go into non-public.
Thanks for coming, folks.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you for coming.